Super excited to be sitting down with Joey Wagner, Jay Wagner Group, one of the most premier event hosts in the nation. We're talking Churchill down. If you look behind us, this gentleman, Muhammad Ali, Celebration of Life, tons of other stuff. We'll just kind of break down how you got here today and talk mentorship.
Yeah, man, it's been a long journey. I started DJing in college, man. I fell in love with music and events and kind of getting people into one place. And 25 years later, we're still doing a lot. And obviously the events have gotten bigger as it goes. But then obviously now here at Jay Wagner Group, we're full agency. So events, marketing, PR, multimedia.
Love it. So break it down for me. The first event you've ever thrown to the biggest event you've ever thrown.
Man,
what does that look like?
I mean, obviously, probably the first event was an event in college, probably at a local bar. Obviously, the biggest event we've done, obviously, we've been involved with a lot. I mean, obviously, being involved with, Muhammad's funeral was a big one, 15,000 people at the Yum Center. Obviously, we work with Danny Wimmer, Bourbon and Beyond, Louder Than Life. I mean, those do over 200,000 people in 4 days. We just did World Fest for the mayor and city of Louisville, 175,000 people in 4 days. So yeah, it's been a cool journey to go from probably just DJing a bar for 100 people to producing major events.
Tell me about my background experience is like obviously similar, going from throwing parties when my dad was sleeping at his house.
No doubt.
Haven't done quite as big of events, but it's awesome. I look up to you in a lot of ways.
Appreciate it.
So you break down one of the deals. So like Muhammad Ali, how does a deal like that happen? Like, did someone reach out to you?
Yeah, I was working at a local PR firm here in Louisville, and basically we were doing all the PR for Muhammad for like 7 years. And then obviously really the first day that I started there at that PR agency, they asked me at Jay Wagner Group to help out with the memorial and the funeral. That was an event that I worked on for 5 years while Muhammad was alive, just a lot of crazy NDAs and we really couldn't talk about it. But yeah, that was an event that changed my life and, forever indebted to that agency that gave us that opportunity.
When you had that opportunity, how nervous were you? Like, how did you handle the pressure of having such a huge opportunity?
Yeah, I mean,
tell me about the execution
side. Yeah, you grow
up
in Louisville, and I had Muhammad Ali posters on the wall, right? A huge boxing fan, huge sports fan. I mean, obviously, Muhammad being from Louisville, as a kid, grew up loving him, right? But yeah, a lot of pressure. I mean, obviously, he's the GOAT, right? One of the most influential people in the world. And, how we were going to do that. I mean, obviously, we had a book in our office that we had to keep in there that was kind of like the Bible, right? It was like kind of the book of like Muhammad and Lonnie's wishes for the entire funeral. Of what they wanted, and we just had to execute. Obviously, yeah, a lot of pressure. But we had to just kind of stick to the script of what we've done for the longest time on executing successful events. And I think that, that's what we did. And, it was a beautiful ceremony. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I still see Lonnie all the time, and you always get to bring up those amazing memories when you see her.
100%. We're obviously here to talk mentorship. Super excited to have you co-hosting our first Louisville mentorship-based hop. Tell me about some of the people who've given you advice along the way. What are some of those special people, special moments, words to live by?
Yeah, I mean, mentorship is super important to me. For me to be able to give back to the future generation is so important. Obviously, me being a mentor, I can hopefully help some of those younger generations not make the mistakes that I did. But at the same time, I want them to make mistakes, right? That's how you need to fail. That's how you get successful. But, I've been very blessed to have some amazing mentors like Rick Keeber, Brooke Smith, Jonathan Blue. They have guided me over the last 25 years when, especially now with our agency, when, you're growing and you've got those growing pains and, when you run into a road bump, I'm just super blessed that I can call those guys to when I call, they answer and, run those questions by them or ask them for advice or, hey, have you been in this situation? What have you done? But, mentorship is a key to success, right? I really believe that. And I think that, me being able to give back and mentor a lot of these younger generation and really even just young entrepreneurs and it's something that's important to me, and that's why we've really focused on it.
Love it. What's some of the best advice that you've received from some of those mentors?
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
100%.
That's why I'm here today.
That's right.
That's why I'm in this room.
That's right. Scared money doesn't make money.
Yep.
You got to take risks. You gotta, give 110%. I look at a couple different keys to success, communication is a key to success. Organization is a key to success. Being a good listener is a key to success. And those three things are definitely, things that my mentors have harped on me to make sure you try to be the best at those three things. And if you can, capture those keys to success, you can be a lot more successful in life.
We talked about challenges and advice that you've received from some of your mentors. What is maybe the biggest challenge that you've been through that led to the most success? Was there anything that was like massive that you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this?
Yeah, I'll be honest, like when I was young and dumb and didn't know a lot, right? Took a lot of risks. Obviously I learned, a tough lesson down in Florida. We did a big event and I went through a middleman and lost a lot of money, right? Not knowing what to do and not seeing the venue and a middleman that charged me way too much expensive, that experience made me be successful.
Mm-hmm.
It made me learn what to do, what not to do. You still want to continue to take risks, but like be smart about them. Like now I'll never do an event anymore without seeing the venue, right? Now I'm not going through any middlemen, I'm going directly to the venue. But,
So
going
the
through
middleman marked up the price way too high?
Oh, yeah. I lost
So
a
you
lot.
pocketed a bunch of money?
Oh, yeah. Just kind of screwed me over, which it is what it is. That was a learning mistake and something I did when I was probably 23, 24 years old and just not knowing what the hell I was doing. Just took a big risk and, that was a good learning lesson for me. But I wouldn't be sitting here right now in this office if that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had like a I made it moment where you like looked at like an event or like something that happened, you're like, holy crap?
Yeah, I just did this podcast the other day and they asked me that question. And I'm thinking probably like 2 years ago. So obviously Muhammad, his IP now is owned by a company called Authentic Brands Group, ABG, out of New York City. And they're one of the most powerful companies in sports and entertainment. And they are our business partner now at the Kentucky Derby with Sports Illustrated because they own the Sports Illustrated brand. So it was probably like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago when we did the Sports Illustrated party at the Kentucky Derby. And, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at, I got chain smokers on the stage and I have, major celebrities in the venue. And I'm just kind of like just looking around and I just did a 360. And that was like the moment for me. It was like, yeah, this is cool. Like that was one of those like definitely made it moment. Cause I've done Derby for 25 years, but the longevity to be able to do it that long, but then, just 3 years ago to be able to look in there and be like, man, I'm working with an iconic brand. I have A-list artists on the stage. I have 30 celebrities in here. Like it's sold out. Like that was like a super cool moment for me that like hit me to be like, man, we've came a long way.
Heck yeah. I love it. You're doing stuff in the city with mentorship now.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, we've been very blessed to work with the University of Louisville. We have a mentorship, basically internship here with U of L that we've had for over 10 years. We've had a lot of amazing students come through that program. We have 7 full-time employees here at J. Wagner Group, and 5 of them are former interns. Okay. So one thing that it's allowed me to do is getting to work with these kids, while they're going through school, see how hard they want to work, see if they want to grind, see if they want to hustle, see if they're really good, right? And that's been a blessing to kind of create our own little like farm system to where we get to work with these kids in our internship program. And then hopefully either when they graduate, we're either hiring, or if they're not, we can help place them in a job with some of our clients. So that internship program has been important to me. And then also working with the University of Louisville, we created probably 4 or 5 years ago the Bird's Nest, which is a student-led marketing agency on campus. We basically wanted to give those students real life experience. Dr. Karen Freeberg, who's one of the most powerful and amazing professors in the United States in like social media marketing and PR. We created that together with U of L and, Dr. Churchill there, who was a huge inspiration with me teaching my class at U of L when I was teaching event planning. And he came to me and asked us if we wanted to help start this agency, and we did. So that has basically became an award-winning and probably the best student agency in the country. And we've been able to give those kids real life experiences with major brands here in Louisville. And it's been cool because they've won a lot of awards. So to see all those things that we've done, and Karen, obviously, who's the GOAT, like help lead those students to get that experience, because the real life experience is so important in the mentorship. That's how they learn, right? Yeah. And that's how they learn real quick if this is what they want to do.
Yeah.